Welcome to Clean Living with a Dirty Mind. It's not what you might think, or maybe it is. I would like to take a moment to introduce myself, introduce the channel, and just kind of throw some ideas out there of what we might talk about. My name is Angela, and I'm a mom to an amazing son, Alex. I'm also a grandma, Gigi, to a very spirited 11-year-old granddaughter. I'm a dog mom. I have a 12-year-old Border Collie mix and a 2-year-old Rottweiler. You'll probably hear them from time to time. I'm also a 10-year Air Force veteran, and I am a disgruntled Dallas Cowboys fan. Finally, I am in my early 60s. What exactly is clean living with a dirty mind? Let's break it down. Clean living is living intentionally and in alignment with our desires and our purpose. And then the flip side of that is about the dirty mind. Okay, for me, that is continuing to be curious, to be playful, to be spirited, to be sensual, and to live in alignment. So what it's not is, it's not disrespectful, it's not vulgar. I want anything on this channel to be viewed by my son and my granddaughter without hesitation. The idea behind this channel is kind of to talk about some of the things that we have inherited, thoughts that we've inherited, if you will, about what we think about aging, and break those down and possibly debunk them and discuss them and move forward with them. So a lot of the ideas around spirited aging, or what it's not, we can start there, is that we're supposed to slow down and we're supposed to live quietly and our desires should fade and let's not have ambition any longer. And you're really not relevant in the workplace or, in many places in society. And like for myself, I'm single. And part of that messaging is that men, or for you it might be women, they don't want women of your age, my age. And that's hogwash. My thought is that wherever those messages come from, they don't come from a place intended to be harmful, but they come from a place of ideas that have not been well thought out and that need to be, okay? We need to reimagine, rethink what, especially spirited aging means. There is no expiration date on the components of a well-lived life, okay? And I have no intention or aspirations of aging quietly. I just want to age honestly and authentically. I do have notes down here that I'm looking at, so if you see me, that's what I'm doing. So one of the things that feeds into spirited aging is the environments that we're in, and that's mainly our house. I've been in this house for over 13 years, longer than I've lived anywhere in my entire life. What about you? Are you still in a home where you've lived for a long time? Does the home represent who you are? Or does it represent a bygone era, a relationship that doesn't exist anymore, a phase of your life that doesn't exist anymore? When people walk into your house, do they go, "Oh, how many kids are you raising?" And you're thinking, well, my youngest is 40 and they don't live here anymore. They got kids of their own and they live somewhere else. So it's important that our homes reflect us, right? So, and some of those key components to that are, first, I feel like we need to, as we look at our environments, we need to make sure that we're safe. Okay, that's key. And that's changed over the years. We need to think about, do you have the cameras, do you have the security alarms that you need in place so that you can feel safe? When you walk in the door, do you feel like, Or do you walk in the door and go, I'm home, I'm home. So does your home reflect who you are? So I am currently I'm in the midst of what I call an environmental conundrum, in that I'm thinking about selling this home. And if I choose to sell, I think that it's in my best interest to keep it as bright and as neutral as possible, with the intention of attracting the most potential buyers. The flip side of that is, should I choose to stay, I have recently come to understand my design style. At the right young age of 60 something, I now understand my design style. And that is a cross between dark academia, Victorian, old world, and. It's a big mix of things. But what it translates to is something that's very dark. For me, it's very cocooning like. So, and I've done the temporary things that will move with me if I, decide to move. But when I do get into a place where I know I'm going to be for a while, the walls are going to be black. The curtains are, it's going to be that. So, yeah, hopefully I'll resolve that soon. So another area that we can consider for spirited aging is our circle. Who do we spend the most time with? Do you have a circle of friends? Did you choose your circle of friends? If you don't have a circle of friends, do you want me to be in your circle? Just let me know if that's the case, okay? So sometimes it happens consciously and sometimes it happens by default. But we need to think about our circles, because our circle can really have an impact on us. We're influenced by our circle. We're encouraged by our circle. Sometimes our ideas are shot down or supported by our circle. We're influenced by others, and we influence others. So it's not just a one-way street. So, and what if we do want to change our circle? Do we just go, hey, you're out, they're in, all the things? No, we don't need to be that drastic. My thought is that sometimes as we evolve and as our life changes and we take different directions, some of those relationships kind of either die down a little bit or they just fall to the wayside altogether. We don't have to be abrasive and cut people out abruptly. We'll say that. We can be much more thoughtful about it. So, but you are allowed, give yourself permission to curate your circle. So I found this saying on the internet, and I have absolutely no idea who said it, where it came from, or anything like that. But here's what it says. Not everyone who's been with you the longest is meant to walk with you the furthest. Ooh, let that sink in. I love that. I love that. So, yeah. Another area of spirited living is our finances. Heck yeah. So let's just normalize that financial preparedness and financial literacy is part of the Clean Living Playbook. Okay? So we are going to go there. But what were some of the things growing up, or maybe now? What do you think about finances? Is finances still a taboo subject? Do you not talk about finances with anybody, not within your family? Were you taught that money's evil? Do you carry shame or guilt about decisions that you made that were not in your best interest? Possibly like when you were 17 or last Saturday. I don't know, but also, are you financially where you need to be or where you want to be to retire comfortably? All things to think about. So, and some of the key points that I've determined feed into that are A, know your numbers. B, act in alignment with where you want to go and see build freedom, build independence. What you won't find here is any get-rich-quick schemes or a scarcity mindset. That's just not where I'm hoping to go with this channel. Another area of spirited aging that's so important is our health. And I'm talking to the person who is making choices about their health, not somebody who has a disease that they obviously didn't choose. Okay, so what is your mindset around the idea of getting healthy or staying healthy? Do you view it as punishment? Do you think that it takes too much time? Or is it vanity? So let me know what your thoughts are. So what would it mean to you to have a more healthy body? Would it mean a great night's sleep? Oh, that's near and dear to my heart. Would it be having like a strong mental and emotional sense of well-being? Some call it a fortress, be strong mentally. Does it mean you have a sexy body? Are you able to give and receive pleasure as you would like? We'll leave that right there. Does it mean maintaining your mobility? Does it mean maintaining your independence? I would love to hear from you about what getting healthy, staying healthy, maintaining a healthy body and a healthy mind means to you, and how you have compassion when there's areas that maybe you have let slip or are not where you would hope that they are. So, and we don't need to view our bodies as a problem that we need to solve. We need to think of our bodies more as a relationship that we need to tend to. Those are just some really wise words. So another area of spirited aging involves staying current. And I'm talking like technology. Okay? We've all known that person in our lives who they don't want to use the internet. Absolutely not AI. And I used to have an aunt who I asked once, do you have a smartphone? And her response to me were, nope, that thing's as dumb as they come. And she wasn't having the whole smartphone thing. So, but what happens as a result of that kind of thinking, that I'm not going to use the internet, I'm not going to use AI, I'm not going to use a remotely up-to-date phone. It doesn't have to be an iPhone, but it can be just an up-to-date smartphone. So I think that those people, they miss out on the conversation. They miss the point of the joke. They don't get certain key points. They don't stay up to date. And people look at that person as outdated, irrelevant, not as smart, not in a way of not having smarts, but not having the information to be smart. So there's just a lot of things that it does to us negatively when we choose to not remain current. So what does it mean to you to be current? Do you need to learn a new skill? Do you need to use AI? I use AI many times a day. So do you need to maybe spend a little bit of balanced time on social media? Maybe looking at sites like Clean Living with a Dirty Mind. So if you consider yourself as remaining current technologically, please share how. I would love to hear. Finally, I want to talk goals and aspirations. And this is something that I feel like we don't talk about enough, because it is okay to still want more, to still know that maybe you need to change, to know that a previous goal possibly needs to change direction. And also, desire is not a selfish issue. Let that sink in. Desire is not a selfish issue. So we don't need permission to change direction in our life. And we certainly don't need to water ourselves down to fit into somebody else's version of us. So if you have any ideas on the subject or would like to share anything, please drop them in the comments below. And that, my friends, will wrap up my introductory video. I feel like we've covered a lot. We've got a lot to cover, and I think that we'll have some good, interesting conversations, and I hope that you'll be around for them. So I invite you to share any ideas that you have in the comments, or if comments aren't a place where you feel comfortable, I will leave my email address in the video description. Feel free to shoot me a line, and I'll incorporate your ideas anonymously if that's what you would hope for. Again, thank you for stopping by my channel. Continue living clean, but with a dirty mind.